I will be doing a quick tank review for the Soviet Tier 6 TD, the SU-100. For the most part, the SU-100 plays just like the SU-85, so there is not much of a learning curve to this tank. As long as you play toward the tank's strengths, weaknesses, and use the appropriate tactics, you can do quite well in the SU-100. Now, let's get into the vehicle stats now. The vehicle stats. For the tank, when it is fully upgraded, it is pretty good for the most part. Let's begin off with the firepower. The gun that I am using here, it's a howitzer. It have howitzer stats, slow rate of fire, aiming time, and accuracy. The damage output, it is quite good with acceptable penetration value for its tier. With the good AP and APCR penetration value that you have at this tier area, you can penetrate most of the enemy tanks easily enough if you know where to aim the gun at. The HE, this is a howitzer, pretty much. Firing HE at a tier 7 and a tier 8 tanks that you have a problem penetrating with regular AP or APCR, it is not a bad idea if you want to do a bit of damage still. With a good crew and equipment setup, your rate of fire can be somewhere between 5 to 6 rounds per a minute. You have a good aiming time of 47 degrees. Now the gun depression, it is 6 degrees downward, which is not that bad, as long as you are on flat terrain only. The 6 degrees of gun depression downward will be a problem only when you are on uneven terrain or hilly terrain. Gun elevation upward, it is 20. The gun traverse limits to the left and to the right, it is 12. So it's not that bad. With a different equipment setup and a better crew with brother and armed for all of them, using the howitzer here, the aiming time, it would go down a bit more. So with the correct equipment and crew perks that you have, you can get your aiming time down to a more of a tolerable point for the howitzer, if you are going to be using the howitzer here. So 2.72 seconds is not that bad with the accuracy of 0.40. The vehicle survivability, it is not that bad, nor great. Hit points 580, so you can take a few hits before you are killed. Armor, it is pretty good in the front, 75 millimeters, which is angled. If you angle the armor by a bit by turning to the left or to the right, you can ricochet a few rounds whenever you are top tier. Besides that, everything can penetrate you easily enough for the most part. Side and rear armor, it is 45. The vehicle armor, for the most part, most of the tanks you will be going up against can penetrate your armor easily enough. So if they aim at a weak spot, the crew members and the modules, they can be damaged easily enough. Especially with a well-placed shot to the side of the tank here, the vehicle can get ammo racked easily enough. The vehicle weak spots, it is the lower plate, the vision port here, the vision port here, the cupola here, the sides obviously, and if you want to damage the majority of the equipment and modules, just fire HE or heat in this area here and you can damage the majority of the crew and modules in one shot. Z. Mobility of the tank. It is okay for its tier for weighing about 33 tons. With the top engine of 520 horsepower, you have a decent enough horsepower to ton ratio with a horsepower of 15.7. So you can get from location A to B quickly enough if you have to with that horsepower to ton ratio. The vehicle top speed, it is 50 kilometers, which you can obtain easily enough when you are on flat terrain going in a straight line or going downhill only. The reverse speed, it is okay at 14. The whole traverse speed, it is okay at 40. With the amazing gun traverse speed and okay enough whole traverse speed of 40, you can turn this tank around in a hurry if you have to, if someone is flanking you. Be careful of the fast, light, and medium tanks that can flank you easily enough and do the circle of death to you until you are killed. So having allies around you, it is quite handy to kill those flanking tanks. Concealment, it is fantastic. I have the camouflage net, the camouflage perk for 3 of the crew members to improve the already good camouflage rating for this tank. When the vehicle it is staying still, it is 49. When on the move, it is 20. This vehicle, as long as you use the terrain around you to hide yourself, you can remain off of the enemy radar for a good amount of time until you fire or until you are seen in this vehicle. The vehicle spotting. The base view range, it is 360 meters. With binocular telescope or coated optics, you can easily increase the view range on this TD. The base radio range, it is 540, which is okay. It is not that bad, nor good for being a Soviet radio. Let's cover the research part of the tank now. The vehicle research. It's a easy tank to go through. To get to the SU-152, you will just have to go through the 100mm gun, the 122mm gun. And to get to the SU-100M1, you will just have to unlock the top 85mm gun. The equipment on the tank here, some of it is transferable from the SU-85 and the other tanks that use it as well. Let's begin off with the tracks. This is a TD that you can use the first pair of tracks throughout the entire grind if you want to, and mount all of the equipment onto the tank still. But if you want to have a slightly better whole traverse speed, my recommendation is research and use the top pair of tracks as the whole traverse speed increases for the better, from 34 to 36. The engine, you have 2 to use. The first engine, it is a 500 horsepower engine with the same chance for fire for both of the engines at 15%. The second engine, it increases your horsepower to ton ratio by a bit, by a extra 20 horsepower. The top engine, you would have had it unlocked already if you went down the Russian medium line that uses it, mainly the T-3485, the T-43 as well. The top engine, use it right away as it had the best horsepower to ton ratio. If you don't have it unlocked already, research the the top engine ASAP, so you can have the best horsepower to ton ratio. That 20 extra horsepower, it does make a bit of a difference. Radios, you have two to use, the 9R and the 9RM. The 9R, it is not that great of a radio at 325 meters. Use the 9RM right away, as you would have had this unlocked already, as it is usable on a lot of Soviet tanks. So equip the radio right away, as it is the best radio to use. You have 4 guns to use on the SU-100. Two 85mm guns, a 100mm gun, a 122mm gun. Let's talk about the 85mm guns. The first gun, the D5S, it is terrible. So don't use that. Use the D5S 85BM gun. This is a better version of the D5S gun, pretty much for the most part. Also, you would have had this gun unlocked already, as it is the SU-85 top gun. This gun, the rate of fire, it is okay. 10.5 plus rounds per minute. Penetration value, it is okay, so you can penetrate most of the tanks easily enough if you know where to aim the gun at. Damage output, it is not that great, with a good aiming time and accuracy. As long as you can fully aim in onto your enemy target and hit the enemy tank, you can penetrate the tank most often if you know where to aim the gun at. You will use this 85mm gun until you have enough experience to get the improved gun, which is at a tier higher on this tank. The 100mm gun, this is a pretty good gun to use. You have a reduced rate of fire from 10.5 down to 8 rounds per a minute, with a better penetration value, damage output with the same aiming time, and not that great of a accuracy, 0.40. This gun, it is one of the 2 top guns that you will be using. The other top gun you will be using as well, if you want to, is the howitzer that I mentioned before, the 122mm gun. The 100mm gun, this is a good gun to use if you want to have a better rate of fire, with the same penetration value, a bit more of a accurate gun, with a better aiming time, while not doing as much damage as the 122 gun would in a single shot. The 100mm gun, all around, it is a better gun to use in most of the situations that you will get yourself into. Also, the 100mm gun, it is not that bad of a gun to use if you have to snipe with it when it comes to medium to long range. The howitzer here, as I mentioned before, this is a derpy gun. You are primarily going to be using this in short distance fights only. This gun have a slow rate of fire, accuracy and aiming time not that great, but with a howitzer, as long as you can hit the enemy tank with the gun and penetrate it, you will be doing a good amount of damage from the howitzer to said enemy tank. Now, I will be covering the consumables, the ammunition layout, the equipment, and how are you going to be using the SU-100. Let's begin off with the consumables. Consumables, I would go with a first aid kit, a repair kit, and a manual fire extinguisher. The vehicle, it carries a good amount of ammo, 36 rounds, so for the most part, you will never run out of ammo in this tank. The majority of the ammo you will be using it is AP and APCR. AP mostly. As long as you know the enemy tank armor layout, using AP, you can penetrate most of the said armor target area easily enough with regular AP. But I will only save APCR rounds for when you need to penetrate a heavily armored target at tier 7 and 8 that you have a problem penetrating with regular AP rounds, based upon where you're aiming at. HE, it is a useful ammo type to use in general, in case if you need to use it to do some damage against said heavy or armor tank at tier 7 and 8 area, if you cannot penetrate said armor. I find having 16 AP rounds, 10 APCR, 10 HE round, it is a good setup here, as I can switch in between these 3 rounds in a hurry if I need to, based upon the said situation. Equipment, I went with the camouflage net, the gun rammer, and vents to improve the tank offensive abilities. The pieces of equipment that you can equip, it can improve the tank performance by a bit, based upon how are you going to be playing this tank. The toolbox, it is not a bad idea if you want to have a faster repair speed. The enhanced gunning drive to have a better aiming time by reducing the current aiming time by 10%. The viewing enhancement, coded optics, and binocular telescope. Besides the equipment that I have on the tank here to improve the tank performance, the rest of the equipment here, it doesn't improve the tank performance by much. As a tier 6 TD, you will have tier 6 matchmaking from tier 6 to tier 8 maximum. Whenever you are top tier in this tank, in a tier 6 match, you can do quite well as long as you play toward the vehicle's strengths and weaknesses. Whenever you are not top tier in a tier 7 or 8 match, in a tier 7 or 8 match, as long as you use the appropriate strategy and play toward the vehicle's strengths and weaknesses, you can do quite well in this TD still. So what roles is the SU-100 good at? It is good at TD role for the most part. The SU-100, it was designed to be a self-propelled gun, so you can do quite well in this machine when you are playing the TD, primarily as a very aggressive offensive TD. You can also play this TD if you have the proper equipment set up and using the 100mm gun. You can be a pretty good sniper when it comes to medium and long range if you're hitting said foe. Besides, for those 2 roles, the other roles that the SU-100 it is good at, it is a good support tank with the vehicle mobility. You can easily get from one location to another quickly enough, and flank said enemy tank to support your team as well. Besides that, this TD is a generally okay when it comes to playing it quite aggressively, being a sniper, a support TD, and being a flanking TD as well. Besides that, these are the 4 roles that the vehicle it is good at. I have 2 replays to show you how well you can do in the SU-100. This replay, I will show you how well you can do in the SU-100 when you're playing the vehicle as a semi-aggressive support role. This match, I am using the 122mm gun. So some of the shots I will be making at range, it's going to be hit or miss for me. Let's speed this replay a bit. I got myself to a position, trying to snap fire on the VK there, missing the target. The first actual penetrating hit, I finished the S-35 off easily enough. I missed that shot, but with my location, I am keeping some of the enemy tanks lit. I use the repair kit to repair marginal damage. When I am in cover here, I am going to load the gun with the long load time, having a injured loader of 20 seconds. That can be quite long, having such a long load time, having a injured loader like that. Right now I am not doing that much. I am trying to see what target I can shoot at. I got a good hit on the Tiger P there, doing 450 damage, which is quite nice. Same thing for the Swedish tank there, the STRV. Seeing we are going to win this, I move up to support my team. I miss the E8 there. I am trying to aim at a part of the tank where I can penetrate the tank. Fortunately, I cannot penetrate the Oni with regular AP, so I switch to a PTR. I am trying to aim at the tracks, finally tracking the vehicle. I switched to HE to do some damage to the tank. Even HE fired from the howitzer here, you will be doing a bit of damage to that heavy tank still, just firing HE from the howitzer here. This is where my usefulness to the team comes to an end. The enemy Hummel, it was destroyed quickly enough. This match, I didn't do all that good nor bad for playing primarily a semi-aggressive support role in the SU-100 here. For the 2 kills that I got, I did about 900 damage with about 1500 assist damage, which is quite nice. Let's go to the next replay now. This replay, I will show you how well you can do in the SU-100 when you are playing completely on the offensive in the vehicle. First thing first, I look at the map where to go. I am heading to the 90 line to do a push with my team here. I get into a position to get some early shots. If any of the tanks in the back of the 6-7 line there come into my line of sight. Seeing the Skoda is coming this way, I'm going to maneuver myself into a position where I can shoot at the vehicle. With the vehicle down to about 1/3 hit points, less than that now, I finish the vehicle off at this range. I use the Skoda here as cover as I shoot at the VK. Let's speed this replay up a bit. I fire at the Scorpion G, manage to hit the turret of the vehicle, doing a good amount of damage in the process. Now it is 6-2. Me and my team, we are doing a base push now. There's the VK, there's the other vehicles in the area here. I did hit the VK, but unfortunately, someone finished the vehicle off before I could. The SU armor, as seen here, I am ricocheting rounds from the Jake on the floor. So far, I am doing pretty good. 2 kills, and have done a good amount of damage so far. With the Hummel on the radar popped up, I finished the vehicle off in 1 hit, getting another kill in the process. Now it is 10-2, with everyone going into the town to finish the enemy team off. At this range here, I try to shoot at the vehicle's side armor. I failed to penetrate their side armor. Using APCR at that moment would have been better, or using HE. This is where my usefulness to the team comes to an end. The T10 and the Centurion got killed in a minute. This replay I did quite well for being a low tier vehicle in a top tier match like this. For the 3 kills that I did, the 3 kills got me a total of 1,350 damage done in a match, which is not too bad, doing less than 1.5k damage in a match with this tank. Now, let's go back to the garage and do a brief recap on the TD itself. Let's do a brief recap on the SU-100. ZTD itself, for its tier, it is not that bad nor good, it is just average. As long as you use the appropriate strategy, play toward the vehicle's strengths and weaknesses, you can do quite well in this TD. Remember, for the most part, you can do quite well in the SU-100 whenever you are playing ZTD, primarily as a front line or even as a middle line type of TD most of the time. As long as you remember the vehicle's strengths, weaknesses, and use the appropriate tactic at the right time, you can do quite well in this tank. I hope that you learn a thing or two about the SU-100 and how to use it properly. If you like this video, leave a like, a comment, and even follow my channel as well. Good luck on the battlefield, everyone.